Hello, everybody. Welcome back to another episode of Geeks and Degenerates. And it seems appropriate for we're doing this right now since it is Star Wars Day. So yeah, it seems appropriate we're doing Empire Strikes Back since it is Star Wars Day. And yeah, may the fourth be with you guys. Um, do you remember
Fuck
watching?
you.
You remember watching this movie for the first time, or how did you catch it?
Yeah, shit. Yeah, this was one of the movies that my brother and sister and relatives were watching. Sorry, my brother and sister and cousins were watching. That I watched, and midway, my brother was like, "Get out of the room!" Like, me and the cousins are of age, are bonding. Get out of the room. I was like, with the snow scene though. Like, of course, I got to the Wampa part, but like once I got to the 8080 and it was a big battle. I was like, "Whoa! Okay, get out of the room because we're talking about stuff." I'm like, "What?" Again, I was really young. I was able to rewatch it again later on, but yeah, that was my first experience of watching Empire. How about you, Hazel?
I don't have any specific memories of like my first time ever seeing Empire Strikes Back or any of the original Star Wars. I don't really have like memories of my first time watching them.
Hmm.
I couldn't even tell you. I couldn't even tell you when the first time I saw them was or how old I was. I don't know. I can't remember.
That's all good. It's just
All good.
ingrained.
It's it all becomes just melds into one. Um,
Yeah.
I remember.
Oh yeah, definitely.
I remember watching this like right after we watched Revenge of the Sith. I'm like, I want to continue. Please tell me we have the videos at home. They're like, yes, we do. So I watched it with my family, and then when we got to this, of course, I already knew the big bad secret. So I'm like, oh, so that's the quote everyone's saying.
Right?
I
Same here.
understand.
Everybody's been like doing the whole Darth Vader breathing when Revenge of the Sith came out.
Yeah.
Everybody's been doing like, "I am your father." I was like, "Oh, I saw that." And I'm like, Looney Tunes? I don't know. Some cartoon that was referencing it.
I saw in Toy Story 2. I'm like, why are you quoting Toy Story 2 all the time? I don't
Yeah,
understand.
right. Like a group of people would be like fanboying about like or fangirling about Star Wars, and it's like, "Wow, you guys watched Toy Story 2?"
Right?
Did you know that Darth Vader's famous line where he reveals that he's Luke's father is actually a part of the Mandela effect?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, where like somebody heard it the wrong way. Or,
Yeah.
like
Yeah, the Mandela effect is basically you misremember certain facts about an event or like a memory, right?
yeah.
Because so many people think that the line is Luke, I am your father,
Mm.
as exemplified by Chris Farley, I believe, in Tommy Boy when he's like behind the fan. Um, he says, "Luke, I am your father," but the line is actually, "No, I am your father."
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's a real one. And I was like, oh, I rewatching it. I was like, he said it wrong.
uh,
Somebody like crucify, like a Star Wars fan would just crucify me for saying
right?
that.
But yeah, um, let's get into the movie. It starts
Yeah.
with Luke and Han on Tauntauns, and they're surveying the land, and we already saw like probes descending on the planet. And there's the scene where it always jump scared me as a kid, where the Wampa comes out. It just freaked the fuck out of me. I'm like, whoa, okay.
Because that thing was scary. It had pitch black eyes and a blood-stained mouth, and it was all white.
Yeah,
I was like, for me, when I was a kid, I was like, that's gonna be in my nightmares. And then Luke opens
Yeah, I mean,
up the fucking tauntaun and
Wampa
goes
was
inside it.
basically a Yeti.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it is. Yeah. And I was like, that's just the stuff with nightmares, though, running into that thing. And then it like, I don't know how it freezes your leg on the ceiling.
yeah, I don't get. They never explain if it's intelligent enough to like know how to stick your feet in the ceiling, but like whatever,
Right?
whatever.
He has a bucket of water. Luke, he just like pats it down. I don't know.
And then Han goes back to the base and he tells the commander loud enough so Princess Leia can hear, like, I'm leaving. I'm out of the rebellion. Goodbye.
He was like,
Oh
"You
yeah,
care
yeah.
about me,
When they're
right?"
like when they're in that like that little command room or whatever,
Yeah.
Yeah.
and she just like basically blows him off or whatever,
Yeah.
and he's like, he gets like mad, and I forget exactly what he says, and it makes her chase after him.
Yeah. It's like you just can't admit it. Admit what? Yeah, you're a good general. I'm like, no, that you're in love with me. I'm like, wow, this dude.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's like, you got feelings for me. Go on, admit it.
Yeah.
She's like, I don't have the slightest clue what you're talking about.
Exactly. And also, that's the thing too. Like they didn't really show it, but it's been like years since
A New Hope.
A New Hope. They like Yavin 4 got invaded, and they had to move to Hoth. And I was like, oh my god! Rewatching. I was like, oh my god! I just noticed that they've been at this for years.
Yeah.
And
Yeah, it's
like,
been like 3 years, I think.
3 years. Yeah, 3 years. I don't know what the rotation of Hoth was to Yavin 4, but like, yeah, 3 years. But like, you can tell that there has been a lot of like background to them. There's already been like enough character development within the team to be like, yeah, I care about you this much, and I care about Luke this much.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, Han is he's captain at this point,
Yeah.
and Luke is a commander.
Mm-hmm. And Leia's general, right? Just standard general.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. And like as Jomer mentioned, like you see how much Han cares about Luke because he's like, is Luke back? He's like, I think he. And they're like, why don't you go find out then? And then when
Right.
they're like, we can find him. Like, you know what? I'm gonna go out to the cold. Like, your Tauntaun will freeze to death. Like, then I'll see you in hell. Just rides out.
And I was like, what's hell?
Yeah, because I believe C-3PO told him that he couldn't find him, and Han's
There's
like, well then keep looking,
Yeah.
Yeah.
and 3PO's like, well nobody can find him, sir, and he's like, what do you mean nobody can find him? And CPO's like, yeah, he hasn't reported in or whatever, and that's when he decides he's gonna go out and look for Luke.
Yeah. And like he does find him eventually, and then
Yeah.
we get that really like horrible scene of like him cutting off the
The Wampa's arm.
Wampa's arm,
And
and
then you
then
see the Force, like, it can pull now for the first time.
oh yeah, that was our first time seeing that.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yep. Yeah, force pull.
Yeah. It's funny knowing how they shot the scene of Luke running out the Wampa cave, cave, where like it was so cold where they were filming that they're like, hey Mark Hamill, can you run out of the snow from our hotel and we'll film you? The rest of the crew are just back there, nice and warm, and while Mark Hamill's just running in the cold.
Dedication.
Yeah.
We live in a society.
Right? Oh my god. Anyway, he sees Ben, and then he tells him to go to the Dagobah system where he can find Yoda, who trained Obi-Wan, and that's an important thing to remember. Like, oh,
Lie.
Yeah.
like for
Yeah,
years
he's
you're
like-
like, oh, Yoda trained you, not Qui-Gon.
Qui-Gon Jinn.
Yeah,
He's
because he was
ignorant.
like, you must go to the Dagobah system, where you will find the old master who trained me.
You'll find
Or,
Kermit.
or,
the
yeah,
Frog.
you'll find Yoda, the same master that trained me, or whatever the line is.
Yeah. Oh god. And then yeah, Han finds him, and they do this other thing that traumatized me as a kid. I was like, how I know what to do when I get stuck in a blizzard is cut up my own horse and then shove myself inside.
I mean, you've seen The Revenant. Apparently, it works in real life too.
Yeah.
It's funny because I actually had a piece of trivia regarding Star Wars as a whole, but it came from Empire Strikes Back, and this was before the sequels came out. And the trivia was, who in the movies, right? Like, who in Star Wars has handled a lightsaber, like has actually used a lightsaber that is not a Force user, right? Like who's not Force sensitive.
Yeah.
And nobody could think of it. They're like, oh, I don't know who's not Force sensitive and used a lightsaber. I don't know. And I didn't give any clue or anything to like what time era or whatever. Just in Star Wars, period. And the answer is Han Solo.
Yep.
Yeah.
To cut up that tauntaun.
Yeah.
I will say,
Yeah.
if you read the comics of Darth Vader, Boba Fett does use a lightsaber to fight Darth Vader, and almost won. And I was like, all right.
Yeah.
Correct me if I'm wrong in the comments. I haven't read that thing in a while.
Yeah, and
You said who does?
Boba Fett.
Oh, Boba Fett. Okay.
Yeah. And then the next day they find Luke and Han, and they put Luke in the back to the tank, and then as he's recovering, Han's just making remarks and really like watching this in 2022. I'm like, bro, back off.
Oh yeah, yeah. This was very pushy, very like in your face, flirting.
Yeah.
I'm like, no.
Yeah, and the funny thing about that is like when we see Luke, in the bacta tank after that scene with the Wampa, and even when he's out of the bacta tank afterwards, and he has like the scars or whatever on his face or the wounds, whatever. Most of that was actually real. Like he had gotten into a car accident, Mark Hamill, and most of his wounds there were actually real from the car accident.
Yeah, that's a
I'm so
How
happy
they
he came out that way, like alive.
worked around it. Like, oh,
Yeah.
all right.
I mean, hey, like it seems fitting. Like, right place, right time.
I guess. Yeah, and as to make Han jealous, I guess Leia kisses Luke, and like,
Bring out the cork board again.
like, I really wonder if they knew when filming this. They're like, did they know that they were siblings when they were filming this? That they knew another installment was coming out anyway?
Yeah. Like, I don't know if George is like writing this on the spot as they're filming.
That's
Or-
the funny thing, though. Since he didn't
Was-
direct this, he's only executive producer. Like, other people wrote this and directed it. And like when he came back, he's like, "What the fuck is this?" Because it's not
That's
how he
true.
envisioned it in his head.
He comes into the room like,
Well,
what you do?
you see the idea of Star Wars and like the whole story that George Lucas just created out of thin air with his imagination.
Yeah.
He as far as making movies or telling the story, he only had the original, right? He had Episode 4, A New Hope, like in his head planned to be made, because when it was released, it wasn't called A New Hope. It was just Star Wars. That was the name of the movie.
Yeah.
And then, when it became so popular and so huge, he had like the idea of the story in his head already. And so he went ahead and, finished his little trilogy at the time. And so he already knew in his head how everything was, how everyone was connected. So as far as the actors go, right, I don't think they had any idea exactly like the situations and relations that Luke and Leia would have together further down the line, especially not in like the original Star Wars. But by the time Episode 5 came around and they started making it, like they knew at that point that they were going to make a third one, right? That there was going to be one that just finished off the whole series. And so I'm pretty sure that they knew at the time that they were kissing in Episode 5 that they were brother and sister. The actors knew, like, the relationship of the characters.
Yeah.
But the characters didn't know.
Yeah, the characters.
The characters didn't know.
Yeah, the characters didn't know. And also, another thing about that, I think I might have mentioned this the last video that we recorded. It might have been with someone completely different, I can't remember. But I know I had mentioned recently that on Alderaan, kissing somebody on the lips means something different than it does, as far as, normal. Well, I don't want to say normal because that excludes people. Just, our culture, right? Our worldly culture on Earth here works, right?
Yeah.
Which isn't a definitive, because there are plenty of families who kiss each other on the lips, just normally, right? Well, like I'm Italian, right? I grew up in a large Italian family, and I was used to multiple family members kissing me on the lips as a kid. That's just how it was. It's just how our family is. It's just, it didn't mean anything more than that. Obviously, we're all family. It's just that's how we did it. We didn't see a difference between the cheek and the lips.
Probably around the West and maybe somewhere here, people are like, you ever went to second base when they just met, kind of deal, Right. And I'm like, no, that's how they just greet each other. Calm the fuck down. So
right?
It's kind of like that. Where were we in the movie?
Yeah, well, after the big incestuous kiss, we see an Imperial droid, probe, and then Chewie gives himself away for some reason, and then Han shoots it, and they're like, I think we have a problem. We have to evacuate.
I mean, Chewie doesn't really have the best camouflage in off, but alright.
Yeah, but he just pops up and goes, Arr! I'm like, why did you scream? Alright.
Chewie does that to distract the Imperial probe droid, and so that it'll shoot at him, giving Han the opportunity to shoot the probe, because they were on opposite-facing snowbanks during that scene.
Tactics, Enzo, you dummy.
I'm sorry.
Sorry. But yeah, it did give the Empire enough time for hey, they got a base here, and then you just see that amazing scene with the AT-ATs.
Yeah, and then that's where you hear the Imperial March for the first time.
Yeah.
And
wait, did they? I forgot. Did they have the sound there?
No, that's the Death Star.
Okay, got it.
Yeah.
It's actually that klaxon alarm is actually installed on all Imperial flying vessels, like large flying vessels, not like the little fighters or whatever, but like Star Destroyers, for example, have that klaxon alarm.
Yeah, and I love that alarm.
Yeah.
Immediately I know where it is, or what it is. I was like,
yeah, absolutely. Like that specific sound, I would know it anywhere. I could tell you what that is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I wonder. Yeah.
And they come out of hyperspace too soon, and you see now that Vader has a shorter temper. Because he calls the commander, and the commander's like, we come out of hyperspace. And there's a captain beside him. He says, Captain Piet, launch the ground forces. And then when he kills the guy, he's like, it's on you now, Admiral. I'm like, oh, a promotion. How nice.
Yeah, that's. I believe they're on the Executor at that point, which is Vader's capital ship.
Yeah.
Which is obviously Vader has supreme command of the ship because it's his fucking ship. But Admiral Piet is the one basically under him running the ship, as a naval officer, because Vader's not a fucking naval officer.
Yeah.
Yeah. So Admiral Piet, as you're talking about, we see him get his promotion because, like you said, he calls him captain. He kills the admiral. Turns to Piet, and like you said, he calls him admiral at that point, and he. I love the actors. I don't know if he was directed to do this, or if he just did it, but the actor portraying Piet, I love what he does at the end of the scene, because after Vader calls him admiral, you see it come across his face, like he realizes what just happened, but he kind of looks like he wants to look, kind of looks, doesn't really look at the dead guy on the floor, like nervously, while he's saying, of course, Lord Vader, or whatever he says right there, right before the scene ends. I don't know if the actor was directed to do that, but I fucking love it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I love that getting a promotion is at the expense of another person.
Right.
I was like, oh, well, I mean, I guess that's every promotion, but like, knowing the fact that I'm now Admiral, I'm scared if somebody else gets a promotion.
Yeah,
Like-
like mentioned, we get the Grand Battle of Hoth, and it's cool seeing the A-Wings just tie up the AT-ATs and just trip them. Like, for such a large machine, that's just a simple solution.
Yeah, not gonna lie, I kind of like flying the A-Wing more than the X-Wing. Is
So,
the what do you call it? The Star Wars plane game?
Uh,
I forgot what you call
I
it.
forgot what you call it too.
Yeah.
Yeah. And you see Princess Leia refuses to abandon her post until the last person because she's in charge of this rebellion, and Han has to be like, "Come on, we have to go."
Now that's a leader.
Yeah. And with the ground forces comes Vader, leading the charge. Like, wow, that's scary.
Again, they're doing this whole thing with the whole white background and the only dark image that's coming in. I'm like, oh fuck, we see him.
Yeah.
We see him coming.
yeah. Yeah, that's a good callback to what I was saying about episode 4, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. The whole hallway scene. Here,
Yeah.
now it's the entire planet.
And knowing what Vader can do with the Force, it's kind of weird seeing like when the Falcon takes off, he just doesn't go, "No, you're not leaving."
Right?
Yeah.
Yeah, so I was like, man, you could have stopped ships long ago. Why couldn't you have done that?
Right? It's like, because he's like, "It's not Skywalker. I want water."
Oh, yeah, yeah.
Because in the beginning, you see he's obsessed with Skywalker, because he blew up the Death Star. But yeah, Luke managed to go his separate way. I don't know why the Empire doesn't follow him, but he's like on his way to Dagobah. Well,
Oh, yeah.
Han, Leia, Chewie, and 3PO are all being chased by the Empire. This really reminds me of The Last Jedi. Damn it.
Just,
Yeah, before we get too far ahead, I kept it in the back of my head. I just wanted to make a small correction. The flying vehicles, or whatever you want to call them, that are on Hoth, that like wrapped up the AT-AT's
Oh, the
legs
A-wing,
with the harpoon.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Those aren't A-Wings. We actually, I don't believe... No, I think we do. I was going to say I don't believe we actually see A-Wings in the original trilogy, but I think we actually do. But no, those fighters that are on Hoth are actually T-47 airspeeders.
Right.
well, that's been a lot.
Yeah, I'm not the best with technical stuff when it comes to Star Wars. Like,
Yeah, same here.
it's a ship.
No, but I do. I'm not gonna lie though. Once they revealed that muscle car spaceship in Boba Fett, I was like, alright, I'm all in.
Once they what?
When they revealed the muscle car spaceship,
Yeah.
the spaceship
Oh,
with like a V8 in it.
Yeah, the N1 Naboo starfighter.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's when I was like, I gotta start doing a little bit more research on the aircraft here, because that really interested me. Anyway, carry on, Enzo.
Oh
Yeah.
yeah, and I don't know if I mentioned this in the Book of Boba Fett video, but when I was watching that episode for the first time, Mando season 3 episode 1, I wanted to I said out loud, right, to Krim, that I hope his new ship is a Naboo starfighter, and it was. I was so happy because I called it before they showed it.
Of all the ships, like that was the one you called out, and that's the one you got right.
Right?
Of all the ships.
Well, because to me, right, just in the way my weird brain works, I thought, okay, this guy needs a ship, right? He's not really a bounty hunter anymore, but he is, but not really. He needs something that's fast, And if you remember, the Razor Crest, they made a point of saying that the Razor Crest in The Mandalorian was pre-Empire, right? So it didn't
Yeah.
have like the ability to track it
Okay.
or to trace
Right.
it, right? So I figured, that he would need a pre-Empire ship, and
Ah.
the Naboo Starfighter I knew was obviously pre-Empire. It was also very fast, very maneuverable, and it seemed to suit a guy like him, except for any type of cargo space.
Yeah.
So that's why I wanted it to be that. Plus, you got to see, a Naboo Starfighter again, which are awesome.
Yeah. And to be honest, I thought that they were gonna go with Obi-Wan's or Anakin Skywalker's ship, the one that like detaches from the
Hmm.
A
circle.
Jedi Starfighter?
Yeah. I thought they were gonna go with that.
That'd be weird.
Give. I mean, I understand, like you can't really pick and choose in desperate times, but I don't think they would have gave him a Jedi Starfighter. You know what I mean? Like, it doesn't make sense.
Yeah.
I don't know if they found like anything wrecked,
this
like pre-Empire.
used to
They get one
belong
from
to Plo Koon, and we fixed this one, not him.
Oh, you son of a bitch! There's like a mask in the cockpit. I would have killed you. Plo Koon's like one of my favorite Jedi's, and they killed him like a bitch.
Anyway. Yeah.
Who?
Plo Koon.
Plo Koon.
Oh yeah, his ship was awesome too, man. The blue and the white stripes.
Yep.
But yeah, speaking
Yeah.
of flying, Han flies through the asteroid field, and the score throughout this entire movie is that it's amazing enough that John Williams comes up with one amazing theme. No, he has a shit ton for this movie and the rest of the movies.
Yeah.
And then they hide in the
Yeah.
and then they hide in the cave, and the Empire's looking for them.
Yeah, I mean, you're absolutely right. And I don't think enough people really notice that to appreciate it. I was going to say appreciate it, but I don't think they notice it to even appreciate it. You have the Star Wars main title theme.
Yeah.
You have the Force theme. You have Luke's theme, right? You have the Imperial Death March theme, right? You have, that's 4 right there. I'm sure there's more.
Yeah. And then in this movie alone, you have Yoda's and Princess Leia's and Han's theme. We're like, alright, calm down. This is pretty cool.
Yeah. Yeah.
And
I don't know if Han actually has his own theme, but I know Leia does.
Oh yeah, Leia's theme. But yeah, we get to Dagobah, and it's pretty murky and swampy, and we also learned that R2, well, if you didn't think of it before, he's pretty sassy in this one, because he keeps complaining, like, why do we have to go to a swamp, man? Like, do we have to land here?
But you gotta love that, like, back in the day, what was this, 80s?
Yeah.
Already?
Yeah,
You gotta love
1980.
that. Yeah. Every time, like, they made this trend of, like, when a droid talks, you have to repeat what it said to translate it to the audience, instead of just responding to it directly.
Yeah.
Which I was like, oh, I love this so much. It was, again, like, somewhat kind of Spielberg magic-y kind of deal. And also kind of weird, they got snakes in Dagobah and lizards that are, like, from here. And I was like,
Right.
oh, you guys couldn't use animatronics or puppets
Well, they
for the
had
weird creatures?
one puppeteer, and that's one of the most iconic characters of all time, and
Yep.
voiced by Frank Oz, who was, I think the Muppet
Yep.
Show was filming at the same time this was. So Lucas was like, hey, Jim Henson, can we borrow one of your puppets, or can you make one for us?
I think that could have been almost Kermit the Frog.
Yeah. But yeah, Yoda's pretty cool. Like, even though he's not flying off the walls with the lightsaber, you're like, there's something about him, Rick. Maybe it's
Oh, yeah.
because knowing the fact that it took 4 puppeteers to work this thing, and even though it took 4 puppeteers, like, the performance is still, like, very deep and nuanced. Like, I'm listening, Yoda.
And like, it was jarring for me. Again, I am a person who came from the prequel trilogy, then got into the original trilogy, and went through Star Wars: The Clone Wars, where Yoda the entire time there was kind of stoic, wise but stoic. Here he's wise and kind of like jokey. You know,
Yeah.
he's more funny now, and he's like he doesn't take life too seriously anymore. I was like, so jarring. I remember this man just pretty much soloing Count Dooku and like destroying a shit ton of droids. Now he just doesn't even want to touch a lightsaber and just uses the Force.
Yeah.
I was like, wow. There's,
Yeah,
like,
I mean, he's
he was
just
a totally new character for me.
he's just a hermit. He's 900 years old. He's a hermit in exile on Dagobah.
Yeah.
And like he likes the quieter life. Like he doesn't even go into battle with Luke, where he's like, no, I'll come with you. Nah. He's
Yeah.
like,
And you see the thing is, right, because you figure this is when Yoda was first introduced to audiences, so there were no prequels or anything.
oh yeah.
It was 1980. Yeah, it was
You didn't know
1980,
he was
right?
the master. You didn't know that was Yoda.
Yeah.
Right. And that choice was deliberate, not only, to throw the audience off, but it works within the story because Yoda is purposefully being like immature and kind of aloof, if you want to call it,
Yeah.
during this scene when he first meets Luke because he's testing him.
Yeah. He takes a bite out of Luke's lunch and he's like, I'm not eating that anymore.
It tosses it into the water. You're like, that's my only ration.
Uh,
But, like,
Yeah, he's like, hey, don't eat that. My dinner.
yeah. And then Luke like sniffs it, like, you know what? Never mind, I have more food anyway. And then he's like,
Which is actually really odd. Like, well, I guess. Okay, since this was made first, I guess it's not odd. Thinking about it the way I am in my brain makes it odd. Anyways, if you know anything about Yoda from his past, whether it's the Clone Wars TV show or whatever, or comic books, whatever, right? If you know more about Yoda, you know that Yoda only eats things that are considered inedible.
right.
Like, they are edible, right? But like, I can't remember what I read. I believe it was a book. I was reading a book or something, and someone, I think a youngling, asked Master Yoda what he was eating, and there's like a droid or something right nearby, and the droid tells the youngling that they cannot detect anything edible in like his bowl of soup, right? Like the droid says, I don't detect anything that a living creature could possibly eat or some shit, whatever he says, describing Yoda's food. So basically, Yoda's eating something that no other creature that's alive in this galaxy can eat or will eat.
Yeah.
That's
And the fact that we don't know what Yoda is.
yet.
Like,
Yeah, to this day, we do not know what Yoda's species is called or what their home planet is.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Only the fact that all we know is that they're strong with the Force and there's a very small amount.
Yeah. And like he is testing him and like Luke really runs out of patience. Like, you gonna take me to Yoda or not? I'm wasting my time. And Yoda just goes, I cannot train the boy. He has no patience. And that switch, I'm like, that's pretty good.
Oh yeah, where he's like this joke.
Yeah, and then
Master
Ben,
Yoda.
yeah, and then Ben chimes in. He will learn patience,
Yeah.
and Yoda's like, he's too reckless or something, and Ben is like, was I any different when you trained me?
Yeah. And Yoda's
Nah,
like,
you were pretty calm back in the day. No, I'm kidding. After seeing that Darth Maul fight, yeah, I can see it.
Yeah. And like, after giving him so much shit, when Yoda starts giving him shit, he's like, no, please take me. I want to be trained. Yoda's like, you're reckless. Your mind's not where it's supposed to be. You're too old. And then he's like, I'm not afraid. And he's like, you will be. You will be.
Yep.
Hearing that from a puppet, just saying, like,
Yeah.
what? Also, a weird thing. They couldn't really control the eyes like how they do now with like
CGI.
with Grogu, and no, because like with animatronics, like they never really they didn't master the whole eyebrow thing back in the day, especially with Yoda. But yet you kind of have the whole weight of his words work still without him expressing it. Like you can see that he was still like kind of like a, you know, cross-eyed puppet. Like
that's why when he says "you will be," when I was a kid, I'm like, that's freaky.
right.
And then we cut back to Han and Leia, and Han's getting a bit handsy, for not lack of proper term. Like, man, let her
Wait,
go.
what?
Han is being too handsy. I don't. Yeah. Yeah. Again, looking at this in 2022, like, wow, no.
It is a product of its time.
Yeah.
God, we hoped it wasn't really like that at that time, but sadly, that's how George wanted it. Well, actually, the director wanted it. George was just producing.
Yeah. And then they do get the kiss out of it, and then C-3PO is like, "Sir, the hyperspace thing is alright." And he's like, alright, thank you. And C-3PO is like, "What did I do?"
You golden cockblock. Yeah, but
right?
they get to Cloud City, right? Where
No, not yet, because we cut back to Luke and he's training
You
with
think-
Yoda.
oh yeah,
Do you think that's why Han alwaalways called C-3PO Goldenrod?
that makes sense now. Oh my god. It's him calling him a golden cock. Or golden cock. Oh fuck. Well yeah, we go back to Dagobah
Yeah.
and they start the training, right?
Yeah, and then this is a scene where Luke feels the cold and he enters the cave and Yoda's like, "Put away your weapons, you won't need it." And he just still brings his weapons and Yoda's like, "Did I stutter? Oh, fuck it.
Stutter did I?
Stutter did I?" And this
Bitch.
scene confused the fuck out of me when I was a kid, because he sees Vader, I'm like, how did he find you?
Right, same here. I was like, oh fuck, he found him.
Yeah. And then he decapitated him. I'm like, what happens now? Do you fight
Yeah, and
Sidious?
blows up. The helmet blows up. It shows
Luke's
half
face.
of his face. Yeah, Luke's face. And I was like, oh, this is the road he's gonna go down if he keeps continuing.
Yeah.
He's gonna be exactly like his father, and his fate will be like that
Yeah.
kind of deal. I think maybe that's what they were hinting at.
And then we cut back to the Imperial side, and they're like, "Sir, we're taking too much damage." And Vader's like, "No, they're still alive." And they're like, "Sir, you have a call from the Emperor. Let's move out of the asteroid field. I need to take this call." Like, all right. And then that's the first time you see the Emperor played, well, in the special editions, played by Ian McDiarmid now.
No. Oh yeah, yeah.
Yeah, it was before some other guy. I forgot his name, but like, it wasn't Ian McDiarmid.
Yeah, and the holograms actually looked horrible.
Right?
Yeah, back in the day, like before they fixed it up.
Yeah. And
Yeah, when it was the old actor.
I will say
And
though,
it- that-
Jabba was
That
horrible.
first time you're seeing.
Like when they remastered it, Jabba looked horrible.
Hmm.
Oh yeah, and the jankiness of having Han step over Jabba's tail.
Oh yeah,
Yeah,
When it-
yeah.
Like,
Yeah, and
okay.
I've watched literally hundreds of Star Wars reactions on YouTube, and whenever they get to that scene in A New Hope where Han meets Jabba, that whole scene is actually a deleted scene, and Jabba was originally a human. That's why Han says, Jabba, you're a wonderful human being. And the reactors, that I watch Star Wars, that was a weird sentence, they don't, get it. Like, they'll make a comment about it, like, wonderful human being. Like, he's not human. They just don't know the history behind it.
Yeah. Like,
Yeah.
we'll get to Jabba when we get to Jabba, but like the fact that they made him the way he is, I'm like, that's such a smart choice and not just some guy in a suit and tie going like, "Hon, you owe me money." The fact that they made him like that, that's special.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But the Emperor goes, the offspring of Anakin Skywalker is alive and he blew up the Death Star. And Vader's like, that's impossible. Because you lied to me, you son of a bitch. But sure. Like, does Vader not know until this point, or has he known all along?
No, you gotta love how Emperor is kind of like, it's the offspring of Anakin Skywalker. It's still alive.
Right. Well, I mean, because audiences watching this, we haven't gotten to the scene where Vader reveals that he's Luke's father.
Mm-hmm.
The Emperor calls Luke Skywalker the offspring of Anakin Skywalker. Okay, makes sense, same last name, but we don't know that Anakin or Vader used to be Anakin.
Yeah. But I would say if this was a real world situation, dick move on the Emperor.
Right?
Like really like sending it home like you used to be that guy. Sorry.
Well, I mean, it also makes sense, especially like within the Star Wars lore of the light and dark side of the Force, because when Obi-Wan said that Darth Vader, betrayed and murdered Anakin Skywalker, he was right, and he even went on to explain, that when Anakin turned to the dark side, he stopped being the man that he was, and he was consumed by Darth Vader. So the way that works in lore is that when someone turns to the dark side, they become a completely different person. That they're literally not themselves.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I mean, I get it. Like, there is a little bit more deeper meaning when it comes to like switching sides.
Yeah.
Right, because in the Emperor saying that it's Anakin Skywalker's son and not saying that it's Vader's son, he is accurate.
Yeah.
Yeah. And speaking of like struggling with the light and dark, we switch back to Luke and Yoda and their training, and Luke's doing kind of well until he notices the ship sinking. Yoda's like, concentrate, and he falls forward on his face, and you get that meme.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, the Yoda thing.
Yeah. And then Yoda talks to Luke about the Force, and it's kind of this like a Native American way of like, it's Mother Nature basically. It's around us, it surrounds us, it flows through us. Luminous beings are really not the screwed matter.
Oh, it's not like that anymore. It's a metachlorian.
Shut the fuck up. Fuck.
There's a line in that training scene with Luke and Yoda that I absolutely love. It's one of my favorite lines in like any movie, and it still gives me chills even just watching like a reactor on YouTube watch the scene. And when Yoda pulls the ship out of the swamp, Luke says to him, "I don't believe it," or "I can't believe it," right? Or "I don't believe it, I believe it is," whatever. And Yoda simply says to him, "That is why you fail." I just got goosebumps now just saying it myself. Like, I love that line. Luke says, "I don't believe it," which is a common thing to say. And Yoda is very serious and says, "That is why you fail." It's just so powerful.
Yeah. And yeah, it's a perfect scene. Like, every time we watch Empire, that's one of the scenes I'm like, I am paying full attention because it is magical. That's how we also get the quote of, "Do or do not, there is no try."
He works in the absolute. He is Sith.
Right. Again, weird contradictions like that. Like, why, George?
Yeah, I mean, what Obi-Wan said to Vader was an absolute.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And like, hey, if it's for the betterment of Luke, hey, he uses the dark side and the light side. Probably that's how.
I mean, there is a person that can, if you threaten, then he will edge towards the dark side, as we find out in Jedi.
Yep.
But we go back to the Empire and we see the bounty hunters for the first time. Bosk, IG, 88, I forgot the res.
Yep, IG-88, Bosk, shit. Who are the other? We don't see Cad Bane. We don't see Zam, Vessel.
We see Boba Fett.
Boba Fett, right. Damn, I can't picture them, and I probably know their names too. But yeah, that's going back to what I mentioned earlier. That's on the Executor. That's on Vader's ship, and Admiral Piet, throws a comment out about he can't stand having this bounty hunter scum on his ship.
Yeah. Racist.
I know, right? And you get the sense that Vader knows of Boba Fett's reputation. It's like, you can use whatever means necessary. I want them alive, and no disintegrations. Like, oh, okay.
Because he's talking to everyone, and then he very deliberately and specifically stops and turns to Boba Fett, waving a finger in his face, saying, "No disintegration."
As you wish. And then...
As you. To be honest, I kind of like Boba Fett's voice.
Yeah, it's the more American.
Oh, they switched it.
Yeah, for the special editions, they...
Okay.
Yeah, same with Ian McDermott.
Yeah, for continuity, yeah.
Yeah. And then we go back to the Falcon, and there's something on the windshield. Again, this freaked me as a kid. I'm like, what is that?
Oh, yeah, when they're in the cave,
Yeah.
or like their meteor.
Yeah. And then they see this bat thing. I'm like, I don't like that.
Yeah, and like Chewie like goes out there. I was like, man, get your ass back in here.
And then he accidentally shoots the ground, and Han shoots the ground, because he's like, wait a minute. He shoots the ground, and he notices the entire world is moving. Like, we gotta get the fuck out of here.
You know what this reminded me of? That scene from Beetlejuice, where the assassins were like seeing that puppet like come out, or like stop motion thing come out of the ground. I was like, oh, that's really cool. I miss when movies were like.
Yeah, and then they escape the non-pink Alaskan bullworm, and then they have to maneuver against the Empire, and then they hide like a bug against one of the ships. Like, you know what, we can float with the trash.
Yeah. Yeah, like, to be honest, first time watching, I didn't even notice. But, like, they were, like, really stuck to the side of, like, the Star Destroyer. I was like, how'd they do that?
And then they're like, where's the nearest planet? Oh, I know a guy named Lando. Maybe he'll be nice enough to let us pass through. And
yeah, because Han is like, I think I found something. And Leia, wants to know what it is. And he says, Lando. And she says something about, like, where is that? I've never heard of that place or something. And Han is like, no, it's not a place. It's a person. It's a man.
Yeah. And then as they float away with the trash or go to Bespin, Boba Fett falls. And I like that scene too. I'm like, oh, he's smart. This guy.
Yeah. But still kind of useless throughout this entire book.
Oh, what can you do?
Yeah.
And then we cut back to Luke, and he's lifting stuff. He even does for R2, and R2's like, why do you do this to me, Master? Please stop.
He says R2's just tired of me. Shit.
And then Luke has a vision of his friends suffering, and then he drops everything, including R2, and R2's like, I hate you. And then Luke's like, I have to save my friends. Will they die? And then Yoda's like, I can't tell for sure, but stay here, kid. Come down. Come on. You have to complete your training. Like, he's so...
How many days was he in?
Yeah, he's so, like, desperate. He's like, Ben, I need some backup. Please, come out. And even Ben's like, if you leave now, you're in grave danger of falling to the dark side. Because that's what the Emperor wants, is to capture you and make him, like, his trophy or his other apprentice to possibly replace Vader, because Vader's pretty old at this point. And then we cut to Cloud City, and then they're being surrounded by escorts, because they're like, who are you? We don't know who you are. And Lando's still like, oh, I don't know who they are. And then they force them to land, and they see Lando, and Lando's like, you got a lot of guts coming here, and you're like, oh fuck, more trouble, and then all a ruse.
Nah, but you see, like, there's a little bit of camaraderie. Like,
Yeah.
you know, you're an asshole, but like,
and
those were good times. Kind of deal.
Billy D. Williams plays Lando so smooth and so suave. Like, I like this character.
Which
Oh yeah.
I am so happy that they casted Childish Gambino for
Solo.
Lando in Solo.
Yeah.
Because, dude, Donald Glover's smooth as hell as well.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, Donald Glover as young Lando, excellent.
Yeah. Like, Lando's a more secure version of Han, and Han sees us. He's like, okay.
Alright, cool. Don't steal my girl.
And when he.
Yeah, and you mentioning Vader being old at that point, he was kind of, you know, because you figure the end of Revenge of the Sith, he was 21, right? Something like that. And then 30 years go from episodes 3 and 4, and then you figure there's 6 or 7 years up until the point of Return of the Jedi.
Yeah.
So at the point Vader dies, he's like 59? 58?
That's not that old.
I mean,
I don't think that.
for a guy who was doused in lava and in the suit for the rest
And
of
has robot armor. You cannot win this argument, Enzo.
Oh, fine.
The man's an android.
But yeah, they're invited to Cloud City, and C-3PO was like, hey,
Cyborg,
another.
sorry.
Hmm?
Cyborg.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Yeah, that's fine. And then C-3PO sees another protocol droid. He's like, hey, buddy. He's like, she says something to him. He's like, all right, okay. And then he
like
goes.
something insulting.
Yeah. I forgot what she says. I don't speak droid. But he goes deeper. And he's like, oh, I didn't mean to disturb you. And he gets shot. Like, I guess that's the end of C-3PO. Fuck.
I was like, I was just clapping. I was like, very good.
We go back to Luke, and then they're still trying to go. It's like, don't go. And he takes off anyway, and then Obi-Wan goes, that boy is our last hope. And Yoda goes, no, there's another. And like, at the time, I'm like, what do you mean by another? Another what? Skywalker?
Exactly. I was like,
Yeah.
what do you mean?
Yeah. I mean, in terms of lore, now you're like, do you mean Ahsoka?
Ahsoka? Right?
Yeah.
But like, anyway.
Yeah. And we cut back to Cloud City, and Princess Leia is worried, but not too worried about C-3PO. Like, he's been gone for a while. Chewie, can you check out where he's gone? And he's like, alright. And then Lando invites them to dinner, and he's like, I made a deal that will keep the Empire out of here for quite some time. And then the door opens, and Vader's right there, and you gotta love the guts of Solo to just start shooting at him.
Yeah, and that was actually our first time seeing somebody block a beam with a bolt with the force. So I was like, oh shit, that's actually legit cool. Where he just does
Yeah.
this. I was like, all right.
I actually don't think Vader stopped the blaster bolts using the Force. I think it was just his armor that did it.
Oh, okay, that's even cooler.
Yeah?
Like, get that shit out of here. Just
Yeah, because
hit
I mean, to my memory, and I've actually studied this scene specifically for this purpose.
Yeah.
Because the Han's bolts actually hit Vader's hand.
Yeah.
Oh, so there was smoke.
Yeah, there was smoke.
Yeah. Forgot about that.
Yeah. And then he goes,
So it's probably just a combination of the armor of the suit, and plus his hand is metal itself.
yeah.
Yeah.
He's like, I give zero fucks. Give me your fucking blaster. And he goes, we would be honored if you would join us. And like, I always wonder what that dinner scene would be like. Like, oh, this is pretty awkward. We also have Boba
Yep.
Fett in the corner.
Yeah. Right?
And like after the dinner scene, like that's where the first time we see the, what do you call it? I forgot what you call it. It was the one that freezes you. You got.
Carbonite?
Yeah.
Oh, we forgot.
Where-
They torture
Yeah,
Solo.
the carbon freezing chamber.
Oh yeah. They put them in that thing that they put Rey in that movie that does not exist.
But yeah, they torture Solo, and you find out like they didn't even ask questions. Like damn,
Right?
the Empire.
They just tortured him and then froze him.
Yeah. And then all this time, Lando's like, this deal is getting worse and worse, and Vader's like, do you feel like you're being treated unfairly? And he's like, no.
No. Sure, sleazy, but smart.
Yeah. And I love.
Oh yeah, there are tons of lines that Vader has that are so mundane but so threatening as well. Like do you feel like you're being treated unfairly? When Lando's like, that was never part of the deal. He's like, I have altered the deal. Pray I don't alter it any further.
Yeah.
Yeah,
that was a
and like,
threat. No, that was straight up a threat.
yeah, and like in Rogue One, when he's choking Krennic, be careful not to choke on your aspirations, director. Like, oh my God, Vader is a beast.
Right?
What I love about that scene is that, like, once the door's closed, he was like, good one. And walks away back to his back that tank.
Also, like, they find the complete set of C-3PO, and he's pretty ungrateful for being rescued, because he's like, you put me on backwards, you idiot. I'm like, you were dead a couple of minutes ago. Chill.
Shut the fuck up. We don't got time to fix you.
Right?
Do you remember right before 3PO gets destroyed, I guess, whatever you want to call it, he meets another droid like him.
Yeah.
And the droid says Ichuto, and 3PO's like, how rude. Well,
Yeah,
that saying, that saying Ichuto is, they never specifically state what it means in whatever language that is in Star Wars, but through my own investigation, like seeing it used or hearing it used in different Star Wars media, I have come to the conclusion that it's one of those words where it has multiple meanings, but the main meaning is the same. It's always the same, no matter how it's used.
Yeah.
And so the main meaning, or the main word in the phrase Ichuto, is fuck.
Okay.
And I guess depending on how it's used, is what the rest of it is, right? So that droid that C-3PO talks to means it in a a fuck you or fuck off kind of way. We see Benicio del Toro's character use it in The Last Jedi, but I think there it means like fuck it, right? Like a carefree attitude, right? When he says it, he's saying like whatever, fuck it, right?
Yeah.
So, and I can't think of right now like the other examples where that word is used or the expression is used. But so mainly it's just fuck, and then the context of how it's used is the rest of it. So like fuck you, fuck off, fuck it.
To get into the
Carbonite.
scene,
And,
where
like,
they finally kissed, for fuck's sake.
Yeah, and
I mean, they kissed before.
and the Falcon, and then some cheap was like, the hyperdrive business. Like, thanks, asshole.
Yeah. But here it was a legit kiss, and we
Uh-huh.
get that famous line, like, "I love you," and I know. And I'm like, "Oh,
Oh.
bye, Mr. Rapey guy." Sorry, that was his character.
You're not wrong, but okay. That's the first for
Yep.
Star Wars reviews. Alright, Jomar, stick to your guns, it's fine. I agree with
Yeah.
you, but I didn't say it. I do love the shot of after the smoke clears, you see Vader smash. I'm like, that's a perfect villain. Holy fuck.
Yep. What, like a perfect villain in the 70s, sorry, 80s.
80s. And I like how Boba Fett's like, if you kill him, he's no good to me dead. And Vader's like, we'll compensate you. Don't worry. And
Yeah.
Boba's like, I mean, it's the Empire, sure.
Right. That's why he's getting paid.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, definitely, because Jabba is willing to pay a bounty for Han Solo, but it's only an alive bounty, which is why Boba says that. And then Vader just says, "All right, well, you know, if he dies, I'll just pay you instead."
Yeah, exactly. So
Yeah.
it's like, I'm rich.
I'm
Too, letting you know. But yeah, then we get to the part where Luke finally gets to Cloud City
Yeah.
and sneaks his way through.
And then Lando's like, what is Boba shooting at?
Mm-hmm.
And then
And missing.
yeah, you know, good plot armor. It's good plot armor, I guess. And then Leia's like, it's a trap, and then he doesn't really hear her, I guess. But he does because he's already like, all right, I know what I'm about to face.
Yeah.
And
Well, she says it twice, actually.
yeah, like
She says it once, and she's dragged through the door, and then she pops back out the door and says it again.
I forgot him. That was so cartoonish. Yeah. Anyway, carry on.
And then we get to the Carbonite Chamber, and then this is our big climatic duel, and I do love the Force is strong with you, young Skywalker, but you are not a Jedi yet.
Yeah. And I will say, this was a big upgrade from...
Yeah, from episode 4, they're like, we're sorry, we'll make this better.
Yeah, this one was great. Like, you could tell, like, who was controlling the fight. You could tell who was not in control of the fight. You could see that Luke was very gung-ho and...
With one hand, Vader's like, I'm just fucking playing with you.
Yeah. And, like, you see Luke struggling, like, really trying to force it in.
Yeah.
Like, you could see he was mad. But at the same time, you could tell that he's scared.
Yeah.
Like, he just wants to get this situation over with so he doesn't have to worry about you. But at the same time, he's also terrified that he might actually lose to Darth Vader.
He does an overhead shot, and Vader does an overhead block and just pushes him back, and he kind of stumbles. Like, you're out of your depth, kid.
Yeah, and just saying, like, writing is not the only way of storytelling. This did its job pretty well, knowing the fact that this was supposed to be the redemption of Luke Skywalker. But you could see that he was in a losing fight the entire time. The entire time you didn't see him win. Like, you didn't see him like, oh, I learned this, like how in, what do you call it? Force Awakens, where Rey suddenly knows how to use the lightsaber. Here, Luke straight up lost.
Yeah.
And that's what I love. Is that they committed. They didn't just stick to the regular trope of, like, the hero must win. No. Fuck you. Cuts off his arm and pushes him, not really pushed, but he falls.
Yeah.
Into, like, the vent.
I love the scene where Luke's like, he'll find out I'm full of surprise, and then Vader just disarms him for the first time. He's like,
Yeah.
oh fuck, and he rolls down the stairs.
Literally disarms him.
No, I mean the first time.
Oh, okay. Sorry. The joke was into her.
And then he falls to the carbonite freezing thing, and then Vader's like, all too easy.
Mm-hmm.
And like Superman, he just pops up, and he's like, impressive. Most impressive. And like, Luke tries to get advantage because the thing's filled up with smoke, but Vader's like ready to go at it again. He's like, alright, fuck.
Also beautiful. Smoke, 2 lightsabers.
Yeah. That whole imagery of
Yeah, I mean,
No, go
Yeah.
ahead.
sorry. All I was gonna say was that yeah, like when Luke, you know, jumps out of the Carbonite Chamber and you know, Vader realizes it and he's like, impressive. And then he does this culling blade move, right, where he throws his lightsaber at Luke and he dodges it, and that's when he says, most impressive.
Yeah. And then we cut back for a while to Lando and Leia because he sets a trap for the Empire and he arrests them. And that's, for some reason, the stormtroopers gonna go, help! Help, we're being arrested! And like, that's weird.
Alright.
But yeah, he's like, take them some away, do it stealthily. And then Leia's like, what are you doing? And Chewbacca doesn't give a shit. He's just choking him out. Like, wait, I know where Han is.
I'm trying to help.
Yeah. And then
Oh yeah, and real quick, you had mentioned earlier about how Vader was just manhandling Luke single-handedly, like with one hand on the lightsaber. That's actually Vader's fighting style. That's how he uses a lightsaber, with just one hand.
Yeah. I mean, it was like they used it as well for Force Unleashed in that first part.
Mm,
Yeah,
yes, I remember. Oh
yeah.
my god.
Like Vader didn't even sprint; he was just walking. I was
Yeah.
like, all right.
And then obviously they're too late to rescue Captain Solo because he's already been taken away by Boba Fett. And then we cut back to, I guess, the lower level of the Carbonite freezing chamber because you're in this area and Vader starts not only using his lightsaber but the Force. And you're like, oh, so that's what the Force can really do.
Yep.
Uh, and poor Luke is just getting the shit smacked out of him. Like, yeah, you have no match.
Yep. And like, my God, this was the part where we get to, you killed my father, stuff like that.
Oh no, I mean like when first he's thrown out the window, and then we go to this weird platform where Luke is like in a corridor, and like Vader just comes out swinging, and like I think Luke was just like, oh shit,
Yeah.
and Vader's like,
About,
this shot makes Vader look like a giant. We're like, yeah, you're dead.
oh
dude."
yeah, that one. Okay,
Yeah.
sorry. I thought we were already ahead.
But yeah, Vader just goes ape shit, and especially when Luke gets one hit on him, he's like, all right, we're done playing.
Like once he got that little hit. Okay, listen here, you little shit. That's when Vader was done.
Yeah, and to your point, he disarms him.
Mm-hmm.
And he's like, first of all, don't make me destroy you, but you can join my side. Obi-Wan never told you what happened to your father. He's like, he told me enough. He told me you killed him. And I think that was the line. Well, since no one was supposed to know the truth, like the actor on set for months was like, you don't know the truth. Obi-Wan killed your father. And that was the lie they had to tell the other crewmates.
Yep.
Uh,
Oh yeah, yeah, absolutely. That's a really interesting fact that a lot of people don't know. That the line itself was hidden from the actors up until the very moment. They had, like you said, they had been told a fake line.
yeah. And then Luke goes, he told me enough. He told me you killed him. And he goes, no, I am your father. And Luke goes, it's not true. It's not possible. And then Vader goes,
You forget that.
search your feelings. You know it's true. And he searches his feelings and it checks out. It's like, oh.
I guess he legit checked fine, and then Luke falls into like the. Well,
He chooses death over like, I don't want this reality.
Pretty much, and then miraculously falls into a vent and then onto a somewhat antenna at the bottom of Cloud City.
I forgot.
Terrifying, in my opinion. Yeah, like I would never want to be in that situation.
I don't know if you guys saw that one special edition where instead of silently falling, Luke does a yell.
Yeah, I saw that one.
Like instead of
It's
looking
so
like
stupid.
instead of looking like I choose that, it looks like did he just slip?
Yeah, it sounded kind of like the Willem scream a little bit.
Yeah. Like that's
But yeah.
a weird choice, George.
Yeah, but then Leia rescues him, and then they get back to this is actually her first time showing like
Yeah.
him having a robot arm.
Also, like
Which I
when
really
she hears him, like, oh, Leia has the Force. Leia has the Force.
Was their siblings?
They make their escape. Luke has a robot hand now, and things are looking up? Question mark.
What do you mean? Man lost his arm, found out his dad is actually the big bad guy, lost their best friend, and they're losing the war.
I must be the music then. I'm like, it's kind of hopeful. But yeah, I can't think of. Well, maybe Infinity War has the same. Like, oh shit, how is this going to end?
Oh no! Like, oh yeah. I thought you meant like the happy sounding ending.
No, yeah.
And it's actually a horrible.
Yeah, but like unlike Endgame, people had 3 years to wait for Return of the Jedi, so I can't imagine how it was like.
Yeah.
But yeah, what would you guys rate Empire Strikes Back?
Damn. To be honest, Star Wars at this era was keeping it consistent. Sure, people say that this was the boring one where he just trained. Not really. This is our first time seeing a legit lightsaber battle, seeing a full-on battlefield, and I would say like there's a lot more special effects. Like they got more budget here. So I'm gonna put this at the same level as the fourth one, where 8.5. I'd say it deserves it because 8.5. No, sorry. Return of the Jedi was more in the story, while here it had somewhat of the story and the action now as well. Like it kept up. So yeah, that's what I would like to give it.
I'll give this a 10 because we don't really have complaints aside from Han Solo being like, dude, like, bro, back off.
There's that.
Yeah. Aside from that, it's a timeless classic for a reason. Like the characters are cool, and the moments are like, they live on in my memories forever, and that's basically why it's a 10 out of 10 for me. How about you, Hazel?
Just again, like last time, just looking at it purely from a movie aspect. This was just a really good filmmaking. Period. Right, from the casting for new characters, the development of current characters, the way the story was told, very traditional and specific to like a first, second, and third act, which movies don't have to be, but it did this and it did it very well. Probably a 9.5.
All right.
Just like as an overall rating. But for me personally, like I know that Empire Strikes Back is a lot of Star Wars fans' favorite movie of them all. For me, I don't really see it that way. Like you mentioned, I think it was you, Slim. It was kind of like a lull in the story, right? Like, even though there was a lot of important things for the story that took place in this movie, the way it just feels to me, almost like, it's filler almost.
Yeah, I would agree with that.
All right.
It does feel a little bit fillery-ish. Maybe you guys can correct this in the comments.
Yeah, and I'm not saying, like the story can be told without Episode 5 because it can't. Or that it's a bad Star Wars movie. It's not. It's just me personally. I just felt that it was the least interesting, maybe, of the original trilogy, to me.
Okay.
All right.
That's understandable.
Yeah. Again, we're adding our unique points of view to the void of like what everyone else has said. So yeah, that's fine. But yeah, that has been our video for Star Wars Day, The Empire Strikes Back. What do you guys think of it? Please comment below, be cool. You can find us at facebook.com/geeksanddegenerates. We react to trailers, we stream video games, we also stream ourselves from time to time. We have one for our 1 year anniversary and one for our origin story. If you want to know how me and Slim met and how we met the others, there we go. Individually, you can find me at IG and Twitter at Yandavas1995. How about you guys? Where can they find you?
You can find me at JumpGO on Instagram. It is my art account. Oh, by the way, they're calling me Slim because my Discord name is Slim Jom. So just letting y'all know. Yeah. They usually call me Jom. Anyway, go. How about you, Hazel? Where can they find you?
Okay, Jom. Sorry. I mean, talking about me in the third person, even though I'm right here.
Yeah.
It's okay.
I mean, Krim calls you Slim, so you're fine with it.
Yeah, that's actually why, because, he had said for the other video, tell Enzo and Slim, I said hi. And so that's where I originally got your name being Slim.
No. Sorry.
But anyways, I can be found on Twitter and Instagram at SapphireHazel7. It's the number 7, no spaces or underscores. And YouTube and Twitch is just Sapphire Hazel. I guess just one word.
Yes, and that is all the time we have for this video. Please remember to stay safe, wear a mask, social distance, and get vaccinated if you can. Get your booster for fuck's sake already. And yeah, we'll see you on the next video. Goodbye, everybody.
Bye.